Okay, I fixed my avatar, and just be forewarned, I am critical when it comes to TV shows and movies, just things in a visual medium, storytelling in general. So, normally when it comes to, human affairs, human nature, politics, religion, like anything like that, I try to be as understanding as possible, and I know that there are, multiple sides to every issue, and people generally believe what they believe for good reasons, right? Because if, they grew up a certain way, they're going to believe, and went through certain experiences, they're going to believe things differently than I do, having gone through different experiences and living in a different way. So, my generosity in that regard usually does not go with entertainment media. So I feel like I usually have a sharp critical eye when it comes to movies and TV and books, adaptations of books, different things like that. So anything kind of like production like that. So even stories in video games. So Stranger Things, right? I've been a pretty big fan of Stranger Things. I don't think I watched the first season, like when it came out. And I might not have watched the second season. But like before the third season came out, I was like, I need to watch the show. People keep talking about it. It's one of those things that you just put off, right? And then finally it's like, okay, here's my jumping in point. It was, for me, it was the same thing with Game of Thrones, where I was living overseas at the time, and we could only get, like, pirated copies of anything, like movies, television shows, and so different people would BitTorrent different things, and then at school, we would, you'd hand around a USB stick, basically, download what you didn't have, upload what wasn't on there. And that was kind of how, that was like how I had to experience music and TV and movies for like about 4.5 years, because I was living behind the Great Firewall of China. So, had to use VPNs, do a bunch of stuff, couldn't access social media, at least not consistently or reliably. So with Game of Thrones, I remember the first scene that I ever saw of Game of Thrones was when the Night's Watch are north of the wall, and it's, I think I literally caught the end of the episode because somebody else was watching it, like on the bus, and it was when Sam is hiding behind, Samwell Tarly, by the way, is hiding behind like a big rock, and the storm is coming in. I think they had just left like the Fist of the First Men. They'd found dragon glass and the horn of, I forget what it was called in the books, that ended up not being anything because the showrunners of Game of Thrones suck. So it was that scene when the White Walker like walks past the rock and like turns and looks at him, and I was like, oh, like just the suspense and the tension and the visual effects. The acting was phenomenal too by I forget his name, but the actor who portrays Sam, just the fear, like everything like that. And you just, it's one of those things, like you see it and you go, oh my gosh, I need to know what is happening here. Like I need to know the context. I want to watch whatever this is, because it just encapsulates you. And so that's how I felt with Stranger Things. Because I'm pretty sure it was season 3 was coming out, so I watched 1 and 2 in anticipation of 3's release. So, yeah, I thought the first season is, like, even just as a standalone, it's damn near perfect. It hit all the nostalgia points. like just even examining it as like a period piece, you know, kind of a cross-cut or a cross-examination of like the 80s. It looks fantastic. It feels fantastic. Dungeons and Dragons is always a plus. You know, there was a lot of human elements in it that were very compelling. You know, the initial relationship between Steve and Nancy, and then that degrade, you know, Jonathan kind of coming in, all of the kid actors. Like, I feel like you always kind of give a little bit of leeway with child actors, right? Like, you understand they're kids, you know, they're not going to be as strong on delivery as like an Anthony Hopkins or a Leonardo DiCaprio or a oh my gosh, I can't think of her name. Mamma Mia, older lady. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna be pissed at that. I'll put it in post. But you know, so you give them a little bit of good grace, right? And I thought that on the whole, the child actors were fantastic. The suspense and the mystery involving, you know, what's killing the kids, what's the upside down, what happened to Will, Barbara's murder. They were fantastically well done. Season 2, I thought, was almost just as good. Obviously, there was kind of the weak episode involving like the Lost Sister, number 8, which is universally kind of accepted as just not the best episode. I think until episode 7 of chapter 7 of season 5, I think that was the lowest rated. Let me actually check that, because we should have a list of episodes here. So like just going through like season 1, 8.5, 8.3. This is IMDb. We could also look at Rotten Tomatoes, but Rotten Tomatoes hadn't been updated yet for the last episode of season 5. You know, 8.8, 8.9, 8.6, 8.8, 9.0, 9.3, right? Like this, I just chills, you know, like even when they did just a few flashbacks or whatever, when Elle defeats the Demogorgon, it still gets, like, it gives me goosies, you know what I mean? Like, even still today. And I believe here, like in season 2 with, man, I forgot that Max was introduced that early. Oh, that makes sense, because the season 3 ends with the mall incident. So that's Billy. We had known Billy first season already. So yeah. So like 8.1, 8.2, 8.5, 5, 8.8, 9.1. The Spy. Oh, I forgot about not Yuri. Yuri's the airplane pilot in 4. The Lost Sister right here. So Lost Sister, Psychic Vision 6, right? So clearly that was an outlier, because then you got 9.2, 9.3. Again, fantastic. And like the Mind Flayer, Young Will, the Russian Dmitri, whatever his name is, like the tarot. It's so frustrating because the side characters are often so compelling, and they're the ones that always get killed off, right? So whether it is, oh, that's not it. That the Spy is Will. That's right, Will's connection. So it'll be in season 3. With the like the cherry cola or whatever. Like, it's fun, right? But it's like Bob. That's right, because Bob was the side character in here, portrayed by Sean Astin, who is just so fantastic of a human being and a teddy bear. And it is so unfortunate that he met a wet and sticky demise. And then, you know, obviously in 3, we had, there's Billy. I can't remember the Russian's name, but he was funny. Or Dr. Alexei. So Dr. Alexei, he was just a really fun character. He was a great side character. And unfortunately, spoilers if you haven't seen, 6 years ago now at this point. But yeah, he dies. So season 3 starts off a little bit slower, ends really strong. So solid through the 8s, even punching up into 9, 7.8, 7.9 for the first 2. I don't remember why. Maybe it was just that it was started off slower or something like that, or, but I remember really, really enjoying the Steve and Robin interactions, especially just because of how Steve changed from season 1 to season 2, growing into season 3. And at this point, we still thought that Robin was going to be a compelling love interest for Steve. Obviously, that's not what ended up happening, but I feel like they handled that so well. And I have no problems with how Robin developed through seasons 1 through 4. Season 4, obviously Eddie steals the show. It was crazy because I rewatched 4 going in preparation for season 5 coming out, and I didn't realize how little Eddie's actually in it. From obviously he has a decently significant role in episode 1, where he is the witness to the first murder that Vecna does. Shaking up Eddie tells the gang, then he goes into hiding, and then he's just kind of gone. It felt like for a while. And he pops in, like he'll be doing whatever, but then it was like, oh, he's here. In the last, maybe not even like episode 8, but like episode 7, episode 9, right? And then obviously Heroic Sacrifice, awesome, Master of Puppets, Metallica, just in general, fantastic. Great character, terrible way to go out, but it was done very poetically in his case, and it's sad because I actually really liked him and Chrissy, who he saw die, just their interactions in the woods and how he was able to kind of like keep her calm and everything else, where Chrissy was already being pried into and getting kind of having her sanity or her perception of reality crumbled by Vecna. With the nosebleeds, the visions, the paranoia, things like that. And it just seemed like he was able to put her at ease. And you really didn't expect that from him, especially his introduction in the cafeteria, where he's just kind of seen as this, obviously he's the leader of Hellfire Club, but he is eccentric and charismatic, but also a self-admitted freak, right? And if I forget stuff, it's because I just finished the finale, and I don't have a script. I usually don't do anything on a script. I just kind of go, and so this is just as it comes to my ADHD neurodivergent brain. So Eddie, comes across, and you're just like, okay, like he's kind of that rebel, just doesn't care what other people think about him. He's gonna march to the beat of his own drum. He's gonna walk against the crowd, whatever euphemism you want to use. And so he was a really compelling character to kind of have in that protection victim role, where obviously they're trying to protect him from the basketball team. They're trying to protect him from the rest of the town after like the town hall meeting, and everybody turns kind of vigilante against the police, the sheriff. Overall, like I felt like season 4, it was just lots of ups and downs. Like there was really boring stuff that I felt like they took too long to do. So just anything with Elle in California was hard, right? It was really tough, because she had been lying to Mike the whole time. It's just embarrassing. I get so much secondhand embarrassment when she tries to, I don't remember her name. It's like Tracy, Stacy, whoever the queen bee is in California, and she, knocks her down, breaks her diorama, and then Elle stands up and does the tries to use her powers, right? And the secondhand embarrassment is terrible, and her in the roller rink, that was also terrible. And like, I also just didn't like it because I felt like they'd used that plot point already, where it's like, okay, how many times is Elle going to use her powers in the finale to save the day? And then how many times are we going to start a season with her either missing or not having her powers? And you're like, okay, this is like the third time this has happened. Like, can we do something different? And so yeah, her getting picked up by the cops, getting taken to the Nina project. You know, Dr. Owens, I felt like Dr. Owens played a good counter to Brenner, just from a personality standpoint. But I mean, pretty much the whole time, it's just Brenner doing whatever the fuck Brenner wanted to do. So as soon as Owens gets her to the base in Nevada, or the lab in Nevada, it's just kind of Brenner's show. And I don't like that they tried to redeem him, because I don't think he deserved it just as a character. And like, it's not the worst thing. You know, it wasn't played up as like a huge it wasn't like the season ended on, oh, Brenner sacrificed himself in the desert so that Elle had enough time. It wasn't anything like that. So, you know, we can the true sacrifice was here's where actually, yeah, Papa. So the true sacrifice was Eddie, obviously, and I liked how they carried Eddie's sacrifice into season 5 with you know, Dustin clearly not handling it well, and why would he, right? He witnessed direct death, I think, for the first time in the series. It was somebody who he looked up to, idolized, especially as Steve, you know, Steve had graduated, so he'd been out of their lives in a more direct fashion for a little bit. You know, he's off with Robin doing things. He's got his job at Family Video. So there was less of that mother hen, little duckling kind of thing. And Eddie stepping in as kind of that other older brother, I thought was really, really well done. And it wasn't even like really a rivalry, but just the little bit of like ribbing between the relationship of like the jealousy between Steve and Eddie over Dustin. I thought it's just adorable, because Dustin he's just a little angel. And even though he made mistakes in season 2, I believe, with the little baby demo dog, we can forgive him for that, because he saved their bacon every other season. But the trauma carrying in, I thought, worked really well, and I thought that he did a fantastic job. I am frustrated now that we've been through the whole thing. There's no resolution whatsoever with the bullies who ambushed him at Eddie's grave marker at all. The last we see of them is when you know, Dustin visits Eddie's grave, sees that it's defaced, finds his dead snake that he put in their locker, or one of their lockers, to like get back at them or whatever, right? So he was trying to antagonize them, and then they beat the living crap out of him, which made him late for the crawl. And there was some subsequent drama from that, where he wasn't there to run the radio, and then we had to listen to Steve and Jonathan squabble for the like second of 28 times in the season, which got really, really old, in my opinion. Yeah, like the crawl, I felt like, because it was a skip, like a time skip, I'm sure it got lower ratings just because it was kind of slower. It took its time to establish, you know, kind of what's changed. Obviously the military's taken control of Hawkins. They put iron plates or steel plates over the cracks in the ground that we later find kind of weaken the boundary between the Upside Down and Earth. they have been kind of operating almost as the Wolverines from like Red Dawn, acting as a guerrilla unit trying to locate Vecna, and they have been unable to do so. And I do want to say, like, the twists that happen, there's always like a little bit of a twist. I thought that season 4, the twist where they literally tie 3 different like plot lines together that give you the realization of the orderly that helped Elle escape and try to recruit. Like, we learn that he, at the same time, like, it's so masterfully done that he is the same person as Henry Creel, and that Henry Creel is the same person as Vecna. Like, I felt like that was so freaking good in season 4, and they almost kind of cheapen that with some of the stuff that they do in season 5. But I'm gonna save like the actual season, the episode 8 stuff. Like, I think that this is too low for what it is. I thought it was average for the season, maybe a little bit less than average for the season. Obviously there are controversy. Like, look at that, 141k reviews. It's like double most of the other episodes, and for good reason, right? For one, it was the finale of that release. They did 4 episodes, 3 episodes. It wasn't a very strong ending for the season 5 part 2 that they released, but also just because of the whole Will coming out and announcing it to everybody. I think that they explained why that needed to happen well enough that it didn't offend me, it didn't annoy me. It was just like, okay, come on, like, talk faster. Like, you guys are literally on the clock. Come on. It wasn't like, I didn't feel, oh my god, they're trying to shove stuff down my throat. What's this agenda? Like, I didn't get that at all. I understand why some people might have, and most of the time I think it's because they were probably a little too sensitive to stuff like that, or they read about it on social media, got primed for it, and that made them too sensitive toward it. It really wasn't a big deal, and it made sense narratively where, obviously he goes in, he saves Max and Holly by taking over Henry and slowing him down just enough for them to escape. And then he's unconscious, and then he says, yes, and he gets saved by Elle, and then he's like, while I was unconscious, he showed me all the bad stuff, as Vecna does. And he was, he showed him, like, this is what's gonna happen. Everybody hates you because you're gay. This. So, the idea there, and they built it up, right? Like, it was the whole thing. Like, it peaked. This episode, Sorcerer, so good. Like, the actual episode was okay. It was pretty good. The kids doing the escape was really funny. Delightful Derek is like the unexpected G of season 5, as opposed to dipshit Derek, who I wanted him to die so bad. Like, at the turnboat trap, I was like, get him. It's like, no, don't help him, let him fall, but then, he redeems himself so well, like right at the end of the turnboat trap, and then through the rest of the season, but particularly when he's just immediately turns the dial to like, yes, I'm gonna be delightful Derek, I shall be a cult leader, and I'm gonna get all the kids who've seen Mr. Whatsit, and I will have them trained and ready to go into the bathroom. Like, it was just really fun. It was really well done. That actor, I forget his name, he had been the victim of bullying. Like, he kind of talked about that, and he even lied. He lied to his like classmates or whatever. Like, in his real life, he lied to them because he wasn't supposed to talk about what he was doing, like, for acting. And so I'm pretty sure he told them that he was gonna star in a mayonnaise commercial, which, dude, cheers to him. Like, obviously, you know, we're all self-conscious about something. Kids can be merciless, so you've only got to imagine, like, what he thinks or what he's been called, or maybe how he feels or whatever, and for him to just be able to, like, take that in stride and just make a joke like that, and then not only make a joke like that, but also tell it to, like, on the red carpet, basically, for the premiere. I think it shows, you know, just a resilience of mind, a resilience of character. It shows that he is, you know, he probably has a really good sense of humor, and just the way that he switches between dipshit Derek, delightful Derek, and then he kind of does that too in, like, the last 2 episodes. He was a very unexpected but welcome surprise and highlight for me through this season. But yeah, going back to the crawl, I don't think it was, I get why, you know, it's slower. It's a time skip. We got to understand what's going on. The introduction to Holly, I thought was fantastic. I actually didn't know, I wasn't expecting it until they released, like, the episode titles, that Holly was ever going to be a character, because, you know, she's been in the background, and obviously she was recast for this, but, like, she never really mattered, right? Like, the most important thing that involved her, like, in terms of storyline, was when they stole her, like, plug-in light board thing in season 4, so that they could communicate between the Upside Down and Earth. So it was nice. You know, you always kind of wonder, like, oh, geez, but she's fantastic for such a young girl. She's got a bright future ahead of her for sure. I understand the criticisms of the season, like with the girl boss stuff, where I don't know, it felt like in a lot of ways the guys, like the young guys, the main cast guys, took a little bit of a backseat in many ways with propelling the plot forward. Like, it seemed like Robin came up with a lot of the ideas that kind of pushed the plot forward. Dustin, as always, like, Dustin does that too, right? Where it's just like, okay, sometime around, like, the second to last episode, Dustin is going to have a brainwave, and it's going to set up what they need to do in the finale. And it's like, yeah, that's what they did again. And it makes sense, because he's so smart. But yeah, Sorcerer, the reveal with Will and everything, that was so good. You know, like I said, it was a pretty good episode up until the end, and then the end was just so fantastic. And it was funny, because it was bothering me afterward, because I was like, man, that just reminded me of something, that, like, Vecna just coming through, absolutely demolishing the military. I'm like, man, that just, the whole thing just was reminiscent of something. And I saw that I think the Duffer Brothers had mentioned after that episode aired that it was inspired by Darth Vader's entrance in the end of Rogue One. So when he just appears in the dark hallway on, well, what would he have been on? He would have boarded their ship? I can't remember. But it was before they escaped on the Tantive 4, the blockade runner. And it was just epic, you know, and it very similar energy. It was awesome. That was probably, like, if you just clipped, like, 2 minutes per season, that would have been so close to my top clip, except for what happened right after, when Will taps into Henry's power and he Vecnas 3 Demogorgons simultaneously. And that just was like, because as soon I was like wondering about it, I had a lot of predictions going into season 5, and now it was before I even was considering doing any sort of content creation, so I hadn't written them down or anything. But that was one of my predictions. Just because of the end of season 4, once the 4 gates or the 4 things had opened, cross-connected, Hawkins is in danger, and Will is just rubbing the back of his neck, and he's just like, you know, I forgot exactly what he says, but it basically was supposed to symbolize, like, yeah, he's still connected to the hive mind, or connected in some sort of way. And I was like, he's gonna have powers. I was like, he's gonna have some sort of connection, like a two-way street, not just I'm a spy, an unwilling spy, or anything like that. So it was just an awesome payoff, especially because Will didn't do shit in season 4. He was just awful. Every scene he was in was awful. His bowl cut was awful. Every interaction that he had trying to be a brother to Elle was awful. It was just awkward and terrible. And even though I don't feel like he had the Noah Shop didn't have like a great performance in season 5. I feel like all of them did better acting, or at least the main guys, right? Like, I feel like Max, Elle, Hopper, Joyce, they've all been consistent. Murray has been consistent, but I felt like the boys, the older sibling group, they've all been great the whole time, right? Robin's been fantastic from the start. Steve has been fantastic, and he turned heel, or when he turned from being the heel, he did that so great. Jonathan, after like season 2, I felt like he just kind of stayed the same character. Last season, he didn't really do much. He was a loser. He's still a loser, but it wasn't like that's a writing thing. I don't put that on the actor. Nancy's fantastic as always. But like the young guys, so like Dustin's been great, I thought, the whole time. I think he's put on the strongest performances from an acting perspective. And then Mike, Lucas, and Will. It was like seasons 1 and 2, things were excusable because they were like kids, and they still looked like kids. And then some of them hit their growth spurts. And then season 3 was kind of like iffy, just in terms of acting. I thought the script was tight, but just in terms of acting. And then season 4, Will was god-awful. Lucas wasn't great. And Mike wasn't great. Like, I just feel like whenever he does monologues or when he talks, like, it's just kind of the same. It's like same. And it's not super emotive. He doesn't have a lot of variance in timbre or volume or anything like that, like, or emotion just in his voice when he's talking about like, and we're gonna do this, and it's just like, it feels bland, and it falls bland on my ears at least, but not enough to like take me out of the show, right? I thought season 3 was great. I thought season 4 was fantastic for the most part. Especially if you just skip all of the 11 sections and kind of anything in California. Like, okay, honestly, like, if you just do the Vecna stuff, holy crap. Like, that is peak, like, 9.2 to 10. Just those moments throughout. So I felt like everybody improved going into season 5. Oh, Sadie, Max. Yeah, Max is great. She had some kind of weird stuff when it's found that she is still hiding, like, in Vecna's memories and stuff, where she and Holly kind of are stalled out for a couple of episodes, and it feels like they have the same conversations, or variations of the same conversation a couple of times. And some of her facial expressions weren't great and whatever. But those didn't really, like, stand out to me too bad. Like, they didn't jar me. Not in the same way that, like, Will in season 4, just, man, it just took me out. And, like, him just being a weirdo and feeling like a weirdo and then crying in the back of the van and just, like, all that stuff. And it's just like, bro, like, just tell everybody. Like, we've known for a long time. And then they finally do. They do, which is why this got review bombed, whatever. I feel like everybody knew that the Einstein-Rosen bridge was coming because they had alluded to it. And it's like, you know, at this point, we understand how it works. They're going to show us early in the season kind of all the elements that are going to come together later in the season. It's kind of like the Knives Out series. If you watch it the first way through and you just pay attention to the background, both in the first one, but definitely in the second one. I haven't seen the third one yet. But Glass Onion, I knew who the murderer was when they were all in that main room, because just the way that Rian Johnson films, and especially when he films those, he wants it to be in front of you and you not notice it. So when characters are interacting, I'm like staring at what the background characters are doing. So I literally saw the killer make the move and do the swap of probably not bad, but the drink, like that whole thing. I was like, so literally I was like, oh, got it, okay. And then I had to keep quiet because I was watching it with another person who I didn't want to spoil it for. But so Duffer Brothers, you know, kind of giving us it's the same thing. Like when the game, the season opens with a game of D&D, and who are we fighting this season? Oh, it's the Demogorgon, and then that's why the Demogorgons are named Demogorgon, was because that's what was coined in season 1, just like in with the Mind Flayer, right? And then Vecna was also a D&D villain, which is why Vecna is called Vecna, or One, or Henry, or whatever, right? I really got frustrated here because they could have escaped hours earlier if they just speed walked. Like, not even run, just speed walk. And that is one thing that I can't get over in all types of movies, all types of shows, where you're just like, when tension is building and you have you as a viewer has a clear sense of urgency, but the characters on screen are not acting with a sense of urgency. That drives me up a wall, because it's like, it's a control thing, you know? It's the same reason why, like, I can't go to haunted houses, because my fight reflex and my reflexes are fast enough that I'm gonna punch somebody, because I don't like not being in control, and I don't want to get kicked out, and I don't want to hurt some poor person working at a horror house, right, or a haunted house. And it's just like not being able to go, dude, walk, Max, you've been trapped there for 2 years, run, just jog. Like, she could have gotten away at the beginning when she could feel Lucas's hand, and she's like, oh, Kate Bush, there's the portal. It's like, how about you don't walk toward it? How about you actually just run, get in there, then you're free, right? And it was the same thing with her and Holly, where they're in the fucking, you know, infinite water void with all the the spike columns and stuff, and it's like, oh, we're gonna calmly walk, and we're gonna talk, and we're gonna do this, and it's like, just run, just jog, or speed walk, like, but they just do this slow plod, and it drove me up a wall. Like, that really frustrated me. There's been a lot of memes about it. They've been hilarious. Like, oh yeah, we're just gonna stop and record our podcast really quick, like, and it's been really fun from a meme standpoint, but from a viewer standpoint, it kind of pissed me off. Dealing with Escape from Camazotz. I do like the through lines of A Wrinkle in Time. I thought that was a nice touch, especially because they kind of faked us out with the Einstein-Rosen bridge and A Wrinkle in Time with the concept of time travel, which it happens to a degree because I believe it's stuck. The Upside Down is stuck in 1983. Is that right? Because this is 87. So yeah, 4 years. Yeah, it's supposed to be like in like 81, 83, whenever Brenner like opened the portal, or like reopened a gate after L touched the Demogorgon psychically, right? So whatever happened there, the bridge was like ignoring the whole coming out at the end thing. I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. For the reasons I've already stated. Narratively, it made sense. Will needed to completely get all of his fears out, so that they could no longer be used against him. And that mattered, right? He was predictably instrumental in the end to helping defeat Vecna. So, which that's not a spoiler, that's just common sense, right? The bridge, Jonathan and Nancy with their breakup and not engagement, I thought it was fine. I thought it was pretty cute when they were, just finally admitting to each other, oh yeah, I the last year, Purple Palm Treat Delight, I flushed it down the toilet. And he's like, what? And she's like, yeah, I hate it when you're high. And he's like, oh, I never read this book. Oh, they both did that where they're like, I never actually read this Slaughterhouse-5. I just read the Cliff Notes and acted like I read the whole thing. I thought it was pretty touching. Their actions in that, when the room was like kind of melting around them, it frustrated me a lot because I was like, instantly, I'm like, okay, shoot, you guys are in this room now. How about you grab the chairs and stack them on the table? Like, that would have been the first thing that I did once I regained conscious. Well, I would have gone... Jonathan woke up first. He went over to Nancy, woke Nancy up. Then I would have grabbed the chairs and put... you know what I mean? Like, even if you couldn't reach, it's still just like... you never would have tried that, really. So, overall, the moment was good. I thought the reasoning behind it made sense for both characters. The same for Steve later. I thought it made sense, even though it's annoying. There was another thing in season 4. Oh, I guess them finding 8, which I didn't, which I did. That was a prediction that I made, where I was like, oh, they're gonna bring her back for season 5, and I'm glad they did, just because it feels like they were going to do something with that whole Lost Sister plot line that they dropped because that episode was so negatively received, which, fair enough. I didn't, that's one of the ones that if I go back and rewatch, I just skip. But before I get into specifics, this is where I'm going to start getting into spoiler territory for the finale if you haven't seen it. I felt like it was a little too round. So typically we think of roundness as a good thing, right? Where it's almost like elements of a wheel where there is progression being made. You're moving forward because the wheel's turning, and you end up at the same place, in relation to the hub of the wheel, but you've moved forward, right? And so that's a concept with character progression, where you have round characters and you have flat characters. You have characters that don't change. Usually they're side characters that just kind of pop in, do their thing, and they leave. And then you have round characters who are developed and they change and they grow, usually into better versions of themselves, right? Where, you know, a cube doesn't become a pyramid, a cube becomes a better cube, sort of a deal. And I think that overall they tied everything in too neatly for most of the characters, because I thought that a lot of this was really predictable and honestly boring. I thought it was boring, because I think they played it safe with pretty much everybody at every point, and I didn't buy into a single fake out that they did, because they did a few. They did one, and I was like, as soon as it happened, actually to Steve, I was like, huh, no way. I was like, no, I'm not even a little bit worried. I'm actually annoyed. I'm annoyed at the showrunners because they think that I'm dumb enough to buy into a fake out like that. It just felt ridiculously safe. Like they had hit their quota of controversy with having Will come out. And it's like, dude, we've known that Will was gonna come out. Like I don't find that controversial. I thought that was established pretty early on for the character, that was gonna happen. And then they I was shocked that they didn't do it last season, because they came right up to it and didn't do it. So it's like, anybody who is surprised by that, go touch grass. Like you shouldn't have been. Like some of the roundness I thought was okay, right? So the Lucas and Max, I thought that relationship worked really well. I thought that Dustin and Steve coming back to how they were before, where they obviously they got into a big fight, and Dustin had like the most emotional in the stairwell when Steve was going to try to climb up using the ladder thing, and he just leveled with, after they had fought, and he just leveled with him, and he's like, I can't lose you two. Don't make me go through it again. I can't go through that again. And it was just such a vulnerable, beautiful moment. But yeah, like just the roundness with a lot of characters, I thought was just stupidly predictable. Nancy has always been independent. She's always been a girl boss, but I thought they just went really, really heavy with that this season. Like where she is picking off trained soldiers. She is like, she's almost hot-headed, and I get why, because both of her parents almost died. Her sister is kidnapped and missing. So I get why she's a little more impulsive than usual, but she was just reckless and foolhardy, like, quite a few times. And I understand why, but just my mental version of Nancy would have held it together a little bit more. Because if, like, their whole plan of, like, breaking into the military base to go into the Upside Down through that gate, which, I thought that they needed to burn. They had to do a burn. That was the whole thing, was that they couldn't go through unless the flamethrower guys came out and they weakened the barrier, and then you could drive through. But apparently that's not the case, because that's another thing that I really disliked about the season, was that things are so freaking inconsistent. So that was one example of when they use the short range radios and open the gates, drive through, they're taking fire. Like, every Marine in this frickin' show has Stormtrooper aim times, like, to the third power. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't think that they actually managed to successfully shoot anything. Like, they shot the Demogorgons, they shot Vecna, but they couldn't, that doesn't do anything, right? So anything that mattered, like shooting it would actually make a difference. They didn't shoot, they failed the whole time. They didn't hit anybody at any point, except for the D-bag lieutenant in the last episode. The guy who, when they captured him in like episode 3 or 2 or maybe it was 3, but when Elle and Hopper are alone in the Upside Down and they're tracking the Demogorgon, trying to find Holly, and they like go to the wall. First off, why did it go to the wall? Why did it have to do that? Because as we think, they lead us to believe that the Vecna is hiding beyond the wall, right? That there's the shield generator that they dub it at the Hawkins lab in the Upside Down, and it is, exactly in the center of the circle as they, Dustin, of course, triangulates and figures out, oh, it's a circle, it's a perfect circle, cool. So why did that Demogorgon, if it had, how did they get to the Abyss? How did they get to the Abyss? Because why would it run, like a third of the way across Hawkins and then just dead end into a wall, into that big flesh wall? It doesn't make any sense. Right? Because as we saw in the finale, it's not like that wall goes all the way up, first off. He can't go into it and then climb the outside, because he'd be sucked into the vacuum of nothing. So that doesn't even make sense. It was just like, oh, how are we going to get these characters to like notice that there's a wall on the perimeter of Hawkins? Oh, we'll have the Demogorgon, like that's bleeding, so it's like tracking blood everywhere. We're gonna have it go, and they're gonna track it to it. And you go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Except it doesn't. And if I'm forgetting something, tell me. But anyway, when they're at the wall, and then there's like the Humvee, I think there's like 4 guys, and that's the first time we're introduced to the power blocking, like sonar radar thing, and the sonar radar thing that no good character like Hopper never shoots and never disables. Like, that would have been the first thing that I did when he's like behind the billboard. It's like, clearly something's going on with Elle. How about I shoot that thing, and she's just gonna neck snap all 4 of them easy, like instantly. But no, he's got to do his thing, and he gets into a gunfight, whatever, and then they have that lieutenant guy, and they take him hostage, break into his mind, figure out like the whole passkey thing to get in, and Dr. K, and it's like, when they left him, I was like, oh, you're not gonna tie up his feet, you're not gonna like bound him this, you don't have like any chains, they didn't have any handcuffs, you didn't have, I'm like, oh, well, if you're not gonna like tie him up properly, or like, can you just kill him? Oh, they're not gonna kill him. Oh, okay. Well, it turns out that if they had done the logical thing, like back in episode 3, Callie would have been fine, because that is the one bullet fired by the entire military in season 5, the one bullet that actually got fired and hit something that was detrimental to the good guys was him shooting Kali in the sternum. That was it. And it's just like, bro, like, and in that moment, I felt vindicated because I was like, I literally just said out loud, I was like, you should have fucking killed him like 6 episodes ago. What did I say? And it vindicated me in the other way because as soon as the power blocking noise generator was destroyed, L like chain neck snaps like 7 Marines. And you're just like, yeah, that's what you should have been doing this whole time. Like, realistically, she could do almost what Vecna does when he just walks through, tanks a bunch of damage, kills everybody, right? She can do that to a lesser extent, and she did finally, but it was a little too late. I find myself, you know, I've grown up around medical professionals my whole life. My mom is she has a master's degree for nursing. She runs the floor of a hospital in the city I live in, and so I might be tapped in a little bit more than the average person to medicine and medical conditions and things like that. So Max was bedridden for like 2 years, I think they say. She would have sticks for legs. She would not be able to hold her own head up because of muscular degeneration, muscular atrophy. Like, she would be like a newborn baby lamb that can't even lift its head up. She would not be able to walk. She would not be able to lift her arms. Even if they did extensive physical therapy on her while she was in her trance coma, she most likely, because, you know, the age that they're at, they're still growing, they're still doing stuff, you know, they're still growing, and her ligaments would literally tighten and shrink from unuse. So she would need several surgeries to get either, you know, cadaver or donor ligaments and connective tissue surgically implanted to basically give her range of motion to even be able to like move her hands and stuff, right? She also, we did not see her, she wasn't intubated at any point. We never saw her in any other position than she was just lying down in the bed. Like, we never saw her get turned. Like, she was always in the same position. So at that point, she would have bed sores so bad that she would have literally been melting into the gurney. Like, she would be literally decaying into, like, fusing with the bed. Like, you can't just lay down for 2 years. Look up bed sores. It's terrible. NSFL, honestly. So that was really annoying. This scene right here, yeah, Demogorgons and Demodogs don't matter anymore. There's just no powers or no threat involved whatsoever, right? You know, a Demogorgon attacked Ted, didn't kill Ted, attacked not Nancy, oh my gosh, Mrs. Wheeler, what's her name? And she lived. She was fine. She even got some shots in, crazily enough. You know, and it's not like last season, in season 4, we had like 10 guys who are all like combat age. You know, some on the little older side, in Russia, in the prison, given medieval weapons, had to fight one Demogorgon, and it killed like 6 of them in like 5 seconds. Oh, but Mrs. Wheeler can, you know, fight one off with a wine bottle. Yeah, that makes sense. And here, Lucas. Lucas is apparently Superman. I don't know if you guys knew that, but Lucas front kicks a Demodog who jumps at them in trying to jump into this elevator, and he just goes, yeah, no, and he just front kicks it, and it goes flying back. Bear in mind, like, not even going back seasons, like literally 20 minutes earlier, runtime wise, one Demodog like ripped apart the Marines in the hospital. So once again, the Marines were fucking useless. They honestly, seeing how poorly utilized they were through the season and zero payoff in 8, I would have rather them just not have them in the show at all. There was no payoff. It was just annoying. It was just frustrating to watch. Yeah, it was dumb. They all had Stormtrooper aim. When they break in season 7, and Nancy is like laying on the eggshell, like foam top mattress on the roof, it's like you would be shot 50 times over, because if they weren't incompetent assholes in the show, the military, especially after they already got wrecked once, like in a prison, right? Are all the guards, like the armed guards, do they just hang out down on the ground? Are they just walking around like in front of the gate, in front of the yard? Like maybe there's a fence in between them and the inmates so they can't get got. No, they're up in the towers, right? Because elevation is super important, both for a vantage point for recon and surveillance, but also having the high ground and being able to shoot down and have more protection and have the advantage of elevation is really, really, really important. So even the first time through, when Vecna attacked and the Demogorgons came in or whatever, it's like, no, everybody's just walking around on the ground, milling around. It's like, no, they would have been up on the rooftops of the businesses. They would have had their guard tower. They don't act in a logical way at all. Like through the whole series or through the whole season, it was really just dumb and frustrating because there's zero payoff in the end as well. Other inconsistencies, it wasn't even last season, it was this season. Going into the Upside Down was just treated as, oh well, it's a Tuesday, even for characters who'd like never gone in there before. Any season before this, if one of the characters went into the Upside Down without a plan, without preparation or weapons or being ready for it, they were gonna die, right? Like that was just kind of an assumed thing. Like, no, we have to be smart about this. We can't just go in. We can't just do whatever. But like in the first few episodes, it's just treated like this blasé thing. Like Steve driving the BMW and just going through, I think it was like a grain silo or whatever, and just, oh cool, we're in the Upside Down now. And it's like, dude, you've been here, you know how dangerous it can be. Like you don't just go in here willy-nilly. Like it felt like the Upside Down completely lost its aura and kind of that X factor of like what's around the next corner, what was that noise. It was just kind of gone. Like it lost all of its mystique. And we learn about the bridge, and we learn that the abyss is the actual other planet that is opposite Earth, so its gravity will mirror the Upside Down. And so the idea is, oh, we're gonna use the upside down as this like focusing lens, or this is Henry and the Mind Flayer to bring the two together, right? That's kind of what gets revealed in 7. I thought it made a lot of sense. I thought it was cool. I thought that the Holly escape fake out was kind of lame. But I guess it works because it kind of gave them the idea that there was the abyss. Like, I don't know. Like her physical, like her mind escaped and then she got physically loose and then she got immediately recaptured. But I guess it was kind of just to show us like, oh, here's the abyss. She fell through the crack. You know, we thought that she was going to come to the right side up, like the earth. And it was like, no, she fell down into the upside down from above, which normally doesn't happen. So I guess that's fine. And they had to show us that somehow. So I guess that worked. But the kids, holy shit, I forget that kid's name. But like the little skinny blonde douchebag who like kicked Holly down the stairs and he was just awful. Like, I'm like, you sure we want to save all 12 of these kids? Like, how about we save like 11 of them, you know? Just seemed like really out of place, I guess, because it's like, it seemed like Derek was supposed to be that bully character, and obviously dipshit Derek became delightful Derek, and we all say hooray. But then this other kid was just like flaming him, and it's like, I thought Derek was like the problem kid in their grade or whatever. So I don't know. I guess it that doesn't really matter, like, narratively. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll get directly into, I'm just gonna do straight